started here. So every one of these sessions is recorded, posted on YouTube, so you guys can take a look afterwards. And pretty much what me and Nick have done the last 2 years is, or I guess 2.5 years at this point, is we've come on every Sunday. We go through the swing trading analysis. So we show you guys how we kind of break down our charts a little bit, show some trade ideas for the week. We post all the ideas inside of the telly. So you guys can go in and check all the ideas and compare it to your own and just see what it is. And the reason we do this is because I can remember when I first kind of started trading, I was always looking for like a place where I can see someone else's ideas, right? Because I wanted to compare it to my own. So use this analysis kind of as a guide. At this point, we've cleaned up our analysis quite a bit and we try to simplify it really as much as we can. So yeah, definitely use this to your guys' benefit. If you are trading demo, trading live, try to take some trades. I think every single week, we give a few winners in here. Like I would say that for the most part, if you took 1% on every trade that was given on this call, you would be positive for sure.
Right. Yeah, because the bias is generally right. We're just following trend. So you'll see a lot of these analyses play out with the right bias, given from Sunday. So yeah, they're pretty useful, and then you also get some insight into, how we're looking at the markets, how successful traders would, approach it on a week-to-week basis. And we get to chop it up with you guys. So this is a lot of great points, a lot of factors that make this really valuable. And, it's just great to be here every weekend and engage with you guys. So let's kick it off. Let's get started here. There are some questions already popping off, but let me just start sharing here. We'll get right into it. All right, you can see my chart.
Yeah, you're good.
Should be on gold right now, but we're actually gonna end with gold. Let's start off with DXY. So guys, we pretty much break down, 6 to 8 pairs each per week. I always start off with DXY. We don't trade DXY. It's just the US dollar index. It shows us what the dollar's been doing, the strength of the dollar. And that's good information because the dollar makes up for a lot of the market, right? 80% of all trade. So if we're seeing something, pretty hefty coming out of the dollar, it's going to shake the markets or move some of the majors, to some degree. So it's good to kind of have that information going into each week. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do this with every single pair, is I'm going to go to the daily time frame, look at the overall trend, just identify it as either bullish or bearish, then drop to the 4-hour time frame, and then come up with 2 trade scenarios, both bullish and bearish. Okay, so we could see here on the daily, DXY, very bullish, right? What defines a bullish trend? Higher highs, higher lows. Price action has clearly been moving upwards, okay? Very easy to see. We can deem that bullish. We can also take another clue from here. We've been seeing a lot of ranging, a little bit of consolidation after that high. So that's gonna play in a little bit more on the 4 hours. So let's take a look at that. But we are technically bullish overall. Now we don't have a 4-hour trend because we can see that we're moving sideways, right? There's no real direction here. So it's more or less a range. And the only trend that we can see in front of us is the daily trend. So obviously we want to kind of line it up with that, look for, further moves higher first. So that would be a nice break of 96.3, higher low above, with nice confirmation candles pushing up towards, the new high. If you look to the left, these have all been fake outs more or less, right? Failed higher lows here, failed higher low here, didn't really have the conviction coming off this zone, needed to, deem this bullish again. So these are all more or less fake outs. That's why we really need to see that higher low here to confirm this bullish. So that'd be nice to see. That's definitely the bullish scenario. Now it obviously could keep ranging and not really interested in anything between that. We're just going to say the dollar's pretty much moving sideways until we see a break of this range. And that makes sense given the time of the year and, just slowed volume overall. Okay, but if this does break bearishly, we're looking for a break of support here, pretty much at 95,750. Nice lower high below to confirm, and then bearish setups to follow. Then we can consider the dollar bearish on the 4-hour. Okay, and then we could start looking towards, new lows back down towards the 94 area, back down towards 95, and so on. Okay, but for now, we're still ranging. Can't really say too much else about this now. But, ideally, we do break to the upside, see some more movement. That would be nice. Okay, let's move over to AU. This is our first tradable pair. Let me get rid of this trade idea real quick. Go to the daily. So what is AU doing? Actually, that doesn't need to be double labeled. There we go. So we've been bearish pretty much for quite a while. We can just see there was some huge volume here, then a huge swing low. Okay, we got a nice lower high here, retest of 0.72, and then we broke 0.72. Overall, we're pretty bearish. You know, if this confirms here and really starts pushing higher, that could, you know, confirm a higher low on this time frame and consider this a break of structure. But for right now, it's a little too early. We got to drop to the 4-hour. Still overall technically bearish though. So let's see what this 4-hour is showing us. So this one's looking more bullish here. This is a really nice break, right? Nice break here. Key resistance, giving us a bit of a flag pattern. Let's highlight that. Minor level, nothing too crazy. Essentially a flag pattern. And I did have this marked up for a trade, but I didn't take it because the risk to reward wasn't there. I like this engulfing. And I thought this was just going to be too tight of a trade. See, the risk to reward just isn't there. So I ended up not taking this. But right now it does look more likely that it's going to continue higher up towards 0.73. Okay, and then we'll look to this area for more reactions. Either it's going to push higher, maybe we'll catch the next higher low there into 0.74, maybe it'll reverse. But unfortunately, this next zone is just a little too tight for me. But we are looking more bullish than anything else on this 4-hour. If we were to consider AU bearish again, I'd really like to see this lower high below 0.72, because this would be a nice little short opportunity. Good risk to reward as well. Playing towards multiple targets. Okay, already at a 3-to-1, would play it down to the monthly ideally. Okay, really good risk to reward there on this one if it goes back below 0.72. But yeah, I mean, this has just been a decent amount of volumes, a surprising amount, honestly. Pushing above this, but yeah, let's see if it continues, if it's got that momentum, if it'll hold, or if we'll just start to flatline and trickle back below. A little too soon to tell. So we'll wait on AU. Let's move over to AJ. Daily time frame. Let's see what it is. Okay, definitely bearish here. Nice lower low, lower high. We did break that here, also key resistance at 81.5, but we have not seen structure really yet. This is just kind of a crazy 4-hour bullish trend that we're going to take a look at in a second here. But really, I'd like to see the next higher low to confirm this, but pretty much bullish here on the daily. Pushing up, just a huge amount of volume. All right, so here we are on the 4-hour. Price action rallied. You can see there's really no structure here. It just kind of took off right into our weekly resistance at 83.25. So I know this is a bit of a stretch, pretty far from happening, but I'd really like it to drop down, get some sort of higher low. You know, just structure forming higher low, because let's say we throw fibs on it, right? We throw fibs on it here.
Yeah, throw the fibs.
Didn't hit anything there. Yeah, we're using the fibs. You guys gotta see this. It's incredible. All right, so if this falls back down, the max I'd be looking for it to fall is 61.8. We could see a higher low here at 82.16. We are a little close to resistance, but depending on the momentum and the candlestick setups, this actually could be a pretty decent setup. Nice little short-term trade back into the weekly. Okay, so really only looking at long scenarios. As you can see, you know, it could pull back and still be bullish for the most part. So for us to consider AJ bearish, I need to see a break of 81.5 again, nice lower high below, and then we could start targeting lower towards major support levels, like so. Towards here, and then lower down towards 79. Okay, but again, you really just need to see that lower high below 81.5. Until then, super overextended. Really just need to see structure at this point. All right, so that's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. This one, I mean, all these JPY pairs just been going, man.
Yeah, they've been rallying. I mean, you could just see the shift. They're all just very bullish. UJ's bullish.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, all my analysis for this week actually was bullish. I was surprised. Pretty interesting. So here we are on UJ. Overall, you know, we just said it, it's bullish. You know, we saw a massive rally here through 111.5 and then our monthly zone, and then we've been consolidating, forming this crazy giant structure here. Looked like it was going to be a head and shoulders. We failed to get the follow through on the right shoulder here. So it's really just consolidation. That's it. And looks to be creeping back towards the upside. So overall bullish here on the daily. Let's see what the 4-hour has for us. This one's looking good. So we were actually in a pretty large area of consolidation. We had a bunch of high volume here, bunch of levels, a support and resistance, and then we started consolidating toward in the upper half of this range, and then volume kicked in again, and then we finally broke. So this was just a mess back here, a whole bunch of traffic. That's kind of the word I was using for this the last couple weeks, and then we finally got the breakout. So this would be really nice to see some sort of retest, just the next higher low, structure forming higher low. So let's see where we're at in terms of structure. Okay. We're fibbing all the way to the top. Let's just clean this up a little bit. If your charts look good, it's just easier to see things. There's nothing wrong with making your charts aesthetically pleasing. And there we go. So good enough for now. Waiting for a pullback. Honestly, 38.2 would be nice. This would be the most ideal area. Nice little confluence here between 114.15, 38.2. So this is what I like to do. Just consider this a little pocket of a potential, where a potential higher low could form, right? So somewhere in there is where I'd be looking for potential entries if the right candle setups were forming. Then I'd enter here, target towards the -27, closer to 115.5, let's say. Okay, so yeah, looking pretty good here. Promising if it starts to pull back a little bit. Definitely would be on the high alert if we pull back into this area, but a little overextended for now. Can't really do too much with that. Okay, so what happens if this fails? It just comes back, falls off a cliff, right? Breaks 114.15, gives us a lower high. You could short this. I would short this on the initial entry, the first retest. I wouldn't continue to play within this range because this is just a mess in the past. And we can only assume that it's going to continue that way as long as we're between these zones. So I would just get the first one, catch the first break and retest, play it down towards support levels if, again, the risk reward is there. And it seems to be on this markup. But yeah, so that's what UJ is looking like. This would be really nice. I'm excited for this if it plays out, but we'll see, guys. So that's UJ. Let's jump over to EJ. Damn, this thing really just popped above 130. All right, let's go to the daily for a second. See where we're at here. So yeah, bullish as well. I mean, we just saw some serious breaks on the daily across all these JPY pairs. Pretty surprising. So super bearish here, big swing low. We consolidated down here a little bit between 128.85, 127, got some strength and popped above. So this was lower high here, but not really a structure forming one, I would say. I mean, this thing was really due for a pullback. I mean, even to here, it could pull back all the way to 130.15. For now, right now, around 130 is kind of a danger zone. We've seen a lot of reaction in the past, but we can call this bullish in the daily based on recent price action. I mean, that is some serious strength these last 5 days. Pretty good stuff. Very, very bullish. Excuse me. So let's go to the 4-hour. Take a look here. This is a nice transition. I mean, look at this. Look at this volume come into play here, right? Tons of consolidation, kind of flatlining, big surge of volume to the upside, big surge of volume to the downside. So that was a nice spike. Then we got some consolidation, then a larger spike, upside, downside. Then it just continued upside from there. Good volume. That was nice to see. Just started like expanding a little bit and then took off. So definitely bullish now, but same theme, looks a little bit overextended. JPY pairs really just kind of ran with it. Okay, there we go. Let's just square this up. All right, so bit overextended. Again, 130 is a bit of a danger zone. Looking for some sort of reaction, not looking to make any trades around this area, to be honest. So it's either going to pull back or it's going to keep rallying. Either way, where's my arrow? There it is. Either way, we got to wait. So it's either going to do this, just keep rallying, and then it'll pull back. Then we'll look for higher lows above 130, or it's going to pull back now, do something like this. And then we have a nice little pocket here, as we just covered on UJ. This is an area where we're looking for higher lows. So it could pull back like this, give us a nice structure forming higher low. We'd enter on that target towards 130, potentially higher, up towards the -27. So this is the most ideal. Either way, we got to wait for this zone to be hit or wait for, a major break and pullback. Okay, so that's the bullish scenario on EJ. Looking pretty good if this volume keeps up. But what has to happen if we're going to look more bearish on this, right? So let's just clean this up just to make it a little more clean. Okay. So this is the bearish scenario. It has to break all the way back down below 128.85. Because again, we can get higher lows all the way to this point and still be bullish. So we need to see a break of this, then a lower high below, and then we can start targeting major support levels like 128 and then 127.5. Okay, so that's EJ. Just got to wait on this one. That's kind of the bad part about when you see a good amount of volume. If you're not in it, if you don't catch that initial, break, you really just have to wait. And sometimes it could be a while before it retraces, some of that move to a structure point and then continues. So it's EJ. Last one for me is going to be gold. This one's looking okay. Let's go to the daily, see what's been happening here. All right, so little messy over here. We're primarily bearish. We saw a nice break to the upside. So this didn't really hold. It didn't declare a bullish trend because we didn't see any higher lows above these resistance levels. Instead, we saw a huge rally, consolidation, then a huge fall off. So really nothing in here that's useful to us now. Okay, other than just validating this is a resistance level. That's really it. So for now, we came right back down. Found some resistance here, consolidated, started pushing back up into the range. And the range is, as we know, between pretty much 1800 and 1825. Should just label this like this. Okay, and every time we've been between these two levels, we've just seen crazy consolidation. So I've actually recommended not trading this until we can see either a higher low above 1825 or a lower high below 1800. Okay, but overall, we are still bearish if you just want to grab the trend from the daily, from here, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then just sideways movement. So still technically bearish while we're below, pretty much in this range and below. Just going to stay bearish pretty much. So let's go to the 4-hour, get a closer look here. Tons of consolidation. This thing was just kind of trickling down. Further consolidation here. Got a little bit of bullish volume there. Nice break. Nice retest. This would have been a nice little entry here, actually, because I like to, in a range, again, I just like to play the initial break and retest. That would have been a nice entry somewhere in here. And then I would have targeted 1825 at the most. Okay, 2-to-1 minimum. And it's good, but right now it's just consolidating. It doesn't even really look like it's going to get to 1825 anytime soon. Just kind of flatlining, which is, what we're expecting. Okay, so ideally, we get some nice bearish movement. This range doesn't hold for much longer, and we can spot some lower highs below 1800 to continue shorting. But for right now, guys, I'm sorry to say again, this is just gold's not looking too great. Not looking great again. Maybe in the new year, we'll see some more movement. I wouldn't even mind a break to the upside at this point, but we're still so far away from that. This would be nice to see. We saw a break of the weekly. Finally, some good volume. None of this crap in here. We need good volume like this, solid candles, and then some structure points. Right, nice higher low. And I hope that's not too much to ask for, because we just need some good structure out of gold. This thing is just killing me. But yeah, so we're waiting here on this one, and that's pretty much what I got for you guys right now. Let's just do a quick recap. We did DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And these are active charts. We post them on TradingView and Telegram on Discord, and you guys have access to them all week. They're interactive, so you can play when you go to TradingView, you can play it forward and see how the trade idea is progressing. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys right now. Pass it off to Angelo, see what he's looking at.
Yeah, so like someone said, most of these are higher time frame analyses. So you are going to have to exercise a ton of patience, when actually waiting for these moves to happen. Now, what I'm going to do, very similar to Nick, is I have all the way up in the weekly time frame. What I'll do is I'll start on the weekly time frame and I'll work my way down to the lower time frame. So on the weekly, I always just place, you see a couple of these zones right here. So I'll just place some zones on the weekly time frame. I'll zoom out, and I'm mainly just looking for price to get into these areas before I really start to look for the main swing trades in here. You can see right in this area, so we're looking at GJ right now. We've got resistance in this zone. We have resistance right here, resistance right here, resistance all in this area. So we've already rejected this plenty of times, several times, and it's not like a slight rejection. We have a huge fall off after. We have a large rejection here, moving considerably. This is about, well, like 400 pips to the downside it's moving. And then here as well, we even have some, little pullback, but then it dumps. So this level has rejected several times, and we're kind of back in that zone. So that's what I look for first, when I bump up to the weekly time frame. Then I'll just come down to the 4 hour, and I'll do like Nick was doing, start to look for some sort of structure on the 4 hour to make sense of what we're going to do. Going into the week, we had the idea that if we go back to the analysis that was posted for this week. So basically, we were looking for price to either move to the upside because we're right at, again, that weekly level. So we're always looking to see how price reacts once it's in one of these zones. So it was in a zone, then it formed a bullish engulfing. That's a clear buying signal. So we should have been buying after that happened right there. Let's see this. And then as we can see, price, just zoomed up. 20 pips this move, like 100 pips to the upside. So I wasn't looking for sells unless we got to the bottom here. Like Nick does, I normally put on the fibs and I'll wait for those pullbacks to 38.2, right? Like this is the most ideal area to enter right at this previous high point at 38.2. But since we're at the weekly zone right here, I am looking for buys, even though we haven't had, that significant of a pullback. So now with that already moving, I didn't take any trades on this, but that was just what the analysis was. I'm just going to go ahead, take this off, take that off because they're not as relevant. I'm just going to hop back up to the weekly time frame. I'm just going to zoom out. And where is the next area where we could potentially see some reversal in this market? And we can see there's obviously a lot of resistance right in this zone right here. And if we zoom out and kind of drag this across even further, all the way back in this area, we can clearly see that price has just rejected the zone several times. So we had rejection here, we had support here, price zoomed to the upside. We did have some rejection here, some wicks, nothing too clean though. Then we had the resistance there, obviously resistance here. We had some more resistance there where price moved down. So this is kind of going to be the next zone that I'm going to be looking for. That's like our main zone right here. I'm going to go ahead and color that. So with that in mind, let's go back down to the 4 hour. Now, when would we take another trade? I would just want a pullback of some kind. Sure, we could look at these levels as resistance levels that I'm then looking for to act as support, but I always just use like the previous high kind of as the rule of thumb if I don't have a key level. So I'm really waiting for price to pull back all the way into this zone before I do target this next high point. Now, when it comes to taking like counter trend trades and selling, sure, you could go down to the 30-minute and start to take sells up here. But again, I mean, the most high probability trade is really to just wait for your zone to be met and then take trades in that area. So GJ, nothing really right now. I mean, there's for the rest of this week, it already kind of made its move really early. So we would have to see something considerable before we look for something else. So let's go to Ucat next. This was my trade idea yesterday. Let's just go over what's going on with this pair. So weekly time frame, I had these two zones marked right here. So we've been following this obviously for quite some time. We had this huge downtrend. We broke out of the downtrend. We made this new high. Then we pushed down. We made this higher low, and now we're pushing up. And then I was just kind of focusing on this area. We had 2 weeks ago this bullish engulfing. Then we had this retest right here. So we had last week closed bearish. And now we're back. We're at a resistance level right now. So price is definitely rejected here and respected this area multiple times. So I am looking for us to potentially find support here. And then coming to the 4 hour, we did have a bit of a fall off early in the week. So yesterday we saw the market push down on Ucat. So we saw the dollar get considerably weaker. But if we just zoom out, this is really the reason I'm looking for this trade right here. We have this new higher high was formed right here. Then we pushed, we actually made a new high. So I'm not going to go ahead and like fib this whole thing. But basically we have our weekly zone right here. We also have a demand zone. So this is kind of the last area of support that we have down here. Boom. So we have stops right around this area. I would even put stops a little bit lower in this area just because this demand zone could hold right here. And then we are looking for those buys. But basically, I'm looking for these buys until price does break below this like 127, 800, this area right here. Then we would start to flip around the bias and look for sells once we do break below that zone. But I'm not going to just buy based on rejection. I want to wait since we are having a lot of bearish structure right now. You see we have this low, this lower high, this new low, this lower high, and then we're just consolidating, and then we made a new low. So I would need to see at this point, we would need to see something like this. Some consolidation at the bottom, and then we have a breakout, and then this thing goes back to the upside. So these are kind of the two different trade scenarios right now. We have the selling scenario where price just breaks through the bottom and we just have a retest. That would then be the sell. And then we have the buying scenario. We would need to see a break of structure of some kind. So we're going to see this play out. I mean, we're going to see price either break, retest, and go short, or we're going to see this start to consolidate, pop up, and then we're going to look for the buy, and this thing's going to shoot to the upside. So this is just forecasting, for people that are on here. We're just forecasting an idea right now of what could potentially happen because the market is not in an area where we want to do anything. So I'm not going to force a trade. So because we do have a decent forecast, I'm going to move that one up. Let's go to GU next. Let's hit up to the weekly time frame. So again, on every pair, I'm always just starting on the weekly. I'm just marking down what are my levels. On this one, you can see I have this level of resistance. We have support. We have resistance, all in the zone resistance. Then we had some support here. So this is definitely a key level right here, right at this 133, 300. This is definitely a key level of support. You can see here, it's not the cleanest. We didn't reject here like too well, but this is still a nice zone to just use as confirmation. So we can see price was in a downtrend all the way until this happened. We just broke this high and we formed a new higher high. So just like Nick was doing, I'm looking to see, can we have a pullback back into this zone? We have 38.2 right there. This is the most high probable trade to actually enter on. Until we have some sort of pullback into this zone, we're just kind of steering clear of this. If you're already in the trade, right, you're just kind of holding this. You're waiting to see when do we actually break support, make that lower high. You could have actually exited on this one. If on this lower high that was formed right here, say you were in that trade, there's no reason, in my opinion, to be in here at the bottom unless you had a support level down here and you have this like triple bottom going on. But I wasn't, analyzing that or putting a buy in there. So at this point, we're just waiting. Once it does pull back, then we'll look, for some sort of buy. So we're going to just continue to adjust the fibs, as this thing moves up. I'm not even going to put them on for now. We're just going to actually wait. And then once this thing does pull back, that's when we'll look for an opportunity. So GU definitely going to be pushing this thing down a little bit because down the watch list, because there's nothing really doing right there. And then we have NU. So NU is interesting. Let's just look at DXY for 1 second. So DXY is definitely finding some resistance up at this 96, 500, area, right? We have, and again, just zoom out. Why is this zone here? We have resistance right there, but more importantly, support. So this is another key level right at 96, 500. And look how price actions forming on this zone. We have a doji, or a little spinning top. Then we do a very bullish candle, but that was followed by a bearish candle, so it matched that move upwards. So the sellers are definitely in this area. And then looking at the 4-hour, we're not forming anything crazy right here, but we're basically just forming this very weak channel. So this thing's making some higher highs, making some higher lows, but nothing significant enough to actually break above this high right here. So it's really looking like the dollar is going to actually go short here. Let's go. And we would need to see a break out of this channel as confirmation before this thing actually goes short. Now, it could just stay in this channel, make a new high, come down, and continue to do this. And if it does do this right here, and it starts to get above 96.5, then it would actually become pretty bullish, right? Because we're trending above the support level. Right now, we're trending below the resistance. So I'm more bearish on this, and this is just overall pretty weak channel right here that's going on. So let's get back to NU with that in mind, right? The dollar to me is looking a little bit short, and I originally had some sells that are actually on NU. And looking at that again, I'm going to leave this on for now. I'm going to go up to the weekly and just go over, why did I have this on right here? So up on the weekly time frame, we've got this whole support and resistance level. So we just zoom out like all the way. We have resistance all along this zone. We have support all in this area, resistance, support. So I'm using that and then zooming in on it. We did just have this large pullback and then price consolidated. We started to stall at the support level. And the reason I'm kind of switching this up is one, we just looked at DXY. It does look kind of bearish. Two, we did have a bullish engulfing last week. The only reason I was trying to short this is because we are still below the resistance level, right? So we are still below this zone, 68,200 right here. So this is a decent short idea. It's not the most high probable because it doesn't have like all the confirmations in the world. If we were to short this, it looks something like this. And then if we were to take a buy, we would wait for price to continue to move higher. So we'd have to break this little resistance zone at 68,300 right here. And then this would be a great trade to look for because we could retarget this previous support level all the way up here, all the way at like 7,000. We have a lot of room for this to run, and you could put stops really like below the support level, wherever this ends up making some structure, but you're below this zone. So you have a lot of room. So this would be like a 3-to-1. So that's pretty much all the Forex pairs I'm going to go over: Ucat, NU, GU, GJ. I've got two others that I'm going to look at. I'm just going to pull up BTC real quick. So I'm just going to look at BTC. Like, cryptos have not been that great right now for margin trading just because BTC's kind of been stuck down here. It did actually finally break out. Last week I didn't really cover it, but it actually did finally break out. We were waiting for this to break out of this little channel. And see how these channels at like the bottom of a push or at the top of a push, they're just weak. This thing's not forming a nice lower low. Like, sellers are losing momentum here. Even though they're pushing it down in these lower highs, they're failing to break this floor right here. So, it inevitably breaks out normally, and then now we're forming this higher low, this new high. So I am overall pretty bullish, on BTC. This is actually good to see. We have this bullish engulfing from the previous week. So last week closed as a bullish engulfing. These are the perfect areas to buy in, right? They're on the pullbacks. This thing pulled back 30%, right? So when it's pulling back, that's when you should be loading up, getting in on buys, not when it's rallying all the way up there, right? We want to actually get in down here. So let's just go up to the monthly. Obviously, we've got support down there, but that's not as relevant. Let's look at it right here. We obviously have, so price rejected this area once, twice, then we had some resistance in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw this up as a zone. So clearly price just tested that level, respected it. That's around 48,000, 48,500. So this is again, decent area to buy at. You just target the highs right here. If you're going to do some sort of margin trading, this would be your swing trade. You always want to do at least 2 to 1. So you'd want to put your stops where it's at least 2 to 1. And this is below support as well. So there is like a justifiable reason to actually be in this zone right here. So yeah, this would be the swing trade on BTC. Obviously, if you're loading up, for further positions, you're trying to target even higher. If you're trying to target 70, so on and so on. So this is overall decent position on BTC. And then last, we'll take a look at XLM. So just look at how freaking powerful like these zones are. This is why we're just sitting on the highest time frames. We're just looking at these higher time frame zones. I have this zone marked at about 27 cents. And we've been covering this. If you come on the last, 10 Sunday market blitzes, we've been placing these levels on here. And we had price come down to this area, large wick to the downside, doji. So at this point, we're looking for a reversal. Then we have this fake out. And then the following week, bullish engulfing. So at this point, Stellar has broken to be pretty bullish. And we had marked this. We were actually waiting on this trade for a break and retest, and it never broke. It actually broke to the upside. So we can go ahead and take this off, and now it's just in a steady uptrend. So the best area to buy would have been a retest of 27. But at this point, you just utilize your levels, place some zones on here. So your next trade that you're really looking for is at this previous high or low. And then you could target either back to the high, or you start to target these higher zones. You have resistance here, and ultimately you have all the way up at 40 cents, you have price. That's really what your target is. You're trying to trade zone to zone here. And then you either put your stops, really wide, or if you want to squeeze it, just depending where you actually end up getting in. But that's Stellar. So went over Stellar, BTC, GJ, GU, NU, Ucat. The two main positions are really just NU shorts, and then Ucat longs, but we need to see a little bit more coming from that. So yeah, that's pretty much all the analysis I've got for you guys. We went over a bunch.
Yeah, some good ones, some okay ones, some we gotta wait on, but that's trading.
Yeah, I mean, for the
And,
week, it's not an easy week to be trading, right? There's not a lot of volume in the market. There's no point of forcing any trades or anything like that. Like, we're not here to really do that. So it's better off, wait for things to play out. If something does show a good opportunity, we'll get in on that. And yeah, I mean, that being said, there are still going to be some trades given out in the signals this week. So you could already see today, I think there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's been 6 trades already given out for the day today. There's normally like 5 to 10 trades given out per day. Because of the fact that we've got multiple people that are in here, everyone's going to have different trade ideas that are going to be given out in this. So there's still going to be trades, in here for the week. If you guys are in the signals, obviously trade responsibly, don't over leverage or anything like that. And then we had some updates, given out today. I did a little video. We're doing the 40% off sale. The sale's back.
dude, that camera is, I just can't stress it enough. Every time I see a video, I'm just like, the quality is just insane.
Yeah, and that's not even in 4K either.
Really?
That's
Oh, wow.
crazy. Yeah, that's just
Dude,
HD.
they must have tanked my phone or something.
Yeah. Do you have
I
the
don't know.
13?
I have the 12 Pro Max, so it's the one right
It
below
should be
it.
the same.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, something's different. Something's different with the new ones. They are crisp.
Yeah, guys, and
Unbelievable.
if you haven't opened, Nick posted this today, little strategy guide. This alone has so much value in it: price action, risk management, trading psychology. So make sure you guys look at this. Download it to your computer, print it out like we do,
Yep.
and there's a shit ton in here.
Yeah, there's a lot. And along with those, we drop free stuff in here all the time. If you go to files or, just go to where we, like the channel info, then files, you can see all the downloads we've posted and you guys can download them for free. I don't think we can access it on here. At
Yeah, I'm
least,
not gonna pull it up just because you can see some other shit, but
yeah,
yeah,
but
if you
yeah, it's all
go
there, guys.
literally to the profile, you can go access the files and you can get everything, like Nick said, and then yeah, I mean, look at today's updates. Ton of updates we're giving out here today. If you guys have any questions, just hit us up. Hit the support link right here. You guys can hit us up, and yeah, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for being a part of the community. We'll post up the YouTube the replay of this afterwards, and we'll talk to you guys on the next session.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Peace out,
Peace.
everybody.